The galaxy believed it had seen every kind of war. It was wrong. Because on a small blue world, a species that refused to kneel had just been given a choice. And when humanity chose defiance, the universe quietly made the worst mistake in its long history. The empire that never lost. For over 10 million years, the celestial dominion ruled the stars. It was not an empire built on chaos or cruelty, but on order, cold, calculated, and absolute. Thousands of species lived under its rule. Wars had been erased. Conflict had been removed. Peace was enforced so perfectly that many no longer remembered what fear felt like. The Dominion did not conquer with bombs alone. They conquered by changing what species were. Aggression was removed. Defiance was softened. Individual will was reshaped to fit the whole. Every species that joined survived. Every species that refused disappeared. On the crystal world of Vela Prime, the High Council gathered beneath a sky of artificial stars. The air shimmered with light as holograms danced above a circular chamber carved from living stone. At the center hovered a small image. A blue planet. Third from its star. Unremarkable. Designation? Asked High Arbiter Sailreth, his voice calm, ancient, and layered with authority. Local name, Earth, replied the observer. Dominant species, humans. Sailreth's eyes narrowed slightly. That alone was rare. Summary. The observer hesitated. They are young, she said. Extremely young. Barely visible on our historical scale. Yet their technological growth is unstable. Images shifted. Rockets. Explosions. Satellites. Nuclear tests. They achieved spaceflight less than a century after mastering electricity. They developed weapons capable of planetary extinction before achieving unified governance. A murmur rippled through the council. Barbaric, someone whispered. Yes, the observer agreed. But adaptive. The image changed again. Humans pulling strangers from burning buildings. Medics running toward explosions. Soldiers shielding others with their own bodies. They fight each other, she continued. Constantly. But when threatened from outside, they unite with terrifying speed. They form emotional bonds that override logic. They will endure suffering that would break most species. Sailreth leaned forward. Potential threat. Yes, the observer said quietly. If left uncontrolled. Silence filled the chamber. Then Sailreth stood. Send an envoy, he said. Offer assimilation. And if they refuse? Asked a counselor. Sailreth's voice hardened. Then we erase them, before they learn how to fight us properly. The visitor from the stars. The Dominion envoy arrived without warning. Human telescopes detected the vessel before it slowed. Human scientists identified its energy signature before it entered orbit. Human networks lit up with speculation before the ship even spoke. The envoy's name was Ireth VA, a being engineered for diplomacy. Tall, slender, with skin that reflected light like glass, Ireth had never known violence. His species had been reshaped long ago into perfect mediators. He expected fear. Instead, he received curiosity. Within hours, human linguists cracked his transmission structure. Within days, they invited him to land. The meeting took place in a fortified chamber beneath the surface of Earth. Flags lined the walls. Cameras watched from every angle. At the center stood Director Lena Holt, elected Speaker for Humanity's Planetary Council. She did not bow. Welcome to Earth, she said evenly. State your purpose. Ireth paused. That pause alone unsettled him. I represent the Celestial Dominion, he said. You have been observed, evaluated, and deemed eligible for ascension. He explained calmly. Humanity could join the greater galaxy. Their diseases cured. Their conflicts ended. Their violence removed. A simple genetic correction. And if we decline? Holt asked. Ireth met her gaze. Then your species will be terminated. No anger. No threat. Just certainty. The room went silent. Human guards tightened their grips on weapons that would mean nothing against a star empire. Holt folded her hands. "We will consider your offer." Ireth blinked. He had never heard that response before. A month of observation. Ireth remained on Earth for 30 days. What he witnessed disturbed him deeply. Humans worked until their bodies failed, and then worked more. They argued constantly, yet defended each other without hesitation. They competed fiercely, not to dominate, but to prove what was possible. He watched athletes break records, then collapse smiling. He watched artists pour pain into creation. He watched parents sacrifice everything for children who might never understand. Human history horrified him. But human hope confused him. They knew they were flawed. They knew they were violent. And still, they believed they could choose to be better, without being changed. When the month ended, Ireth returned to the council chamber beneath Earth. Billions watched live. Director Holt stood once more. "Ambassador," she said, "we have reached a decision." Ireth straightened. "Humanity refuses," Holt said clearly. "We will not surrender our freedom. Not our anger. Not our love. We accept the risk of extinction over a future where we are no longer ourselves." The chamber erupted, not in panic, but applause. Ireth felt something new tighten in his chest. Fear. "You cannot win," he said. "The Dominion has never lost." Holt smiled, not kindly. "Then you've never fought humans." The order is given. When Ireth returned to Vela Prime, the council listened in disbelief. Refusal was unheard of. High Arbiter Sailretha's scales darkened. "Then let this be a lesson," he said. "Deploy the extermination armada." 10,000 warships moved as one. For the first time in a million years, the Dominion prepared for total annihilation. They believed Earth would burn quietly. They did not know what humanity had been doing during the month of waiting. They did not know Earth had been watching too. And they did not understand one simple truth. A species that survives its own history is far more dangerous than one that never had to. A countdown begins. The Dominion fleet crossed the void with absolute confidence. 10,000 warships moved in perfect formation, their paths calculated centuries in advance. Each vessel was older than most civilizations. Each carried enough firepower to end worlds. To the Dominion, this was not a war. It was a correction. On the command throne of the flagship Judgment Eternal, Fleet Marshal Kareth Knoll reviewed projections with mild boredom. Earth would be neutralized in less than one rotation of its planet. Casualties were irrelevant. Resistance was unlikely. "Young species always panic," Kareth said calmly. "They break quickly." None of his officers disagreed. They did not see the quiet shift happening on Earth. The world that stopped fighting itself. The moment the envoy left, every human nation did something no alien intelligence predicted. They stopped arguing. Borders stayed on maps, but command centers linked together. Militaries that had trained to fight each other began sharing secrets they had buried for decades. Old enemies became uneasy allies. Humanity understood something the Dominion did not. This was not about victory. This was about survival. In underground chambers and converted research labs, minds sharpened with urgency. Scientists slept on floors. Engineers argued through exhaustion. Hackers worked until their hands shook. Director Lena Holt addressed the unified council. "We cannot outgun them," she said. "So we outthink them." Learning the enemy. The Dominion's mistake was not arrogance alone. It was routine. Their technology was powerful, but predictable. Their systems were ancient, refined over millennia, and untouched by chaos. They had never needed creativity. No one had ever challenged them long enough to require it. Humans noticed. Every transmission from the envoy's ship had been recorded. Every energy fluctuation mapped. Every signal analyzed. Where Dominion engineers saw perfection, human analysts saw patterns. And patterns could be broken. A young systems architect named Ravi Kelman stared at alien schematics projected across a dark room. "They don't isolate systems," he said quietly. Everything talks to everything. A silence followed. Then someone laughed. That's insane, another engineer said. That's like building a city with no firewalls. Ravi smiled, tired and dangerous. Or like building a galaxy-sized nervous system, just waiting to be shocked. Weapons that shouldn't exist. Humanity did not try to match Dominion energy weapons. They went backward instead. Kinetic force. Momentum. Mass. Old ideas, sharpened by new math. Asteroid mining rigs were stripped and rebuilt. Cargo ships were reinforced with layered armor scavenged from 100 industries. Weapons were ugly, inefficient, and brutally simple. Director Holt watched one test firing from a secured bunker. A tungsten rod, launched by electromagnetic rails, crossed space without a sound. It struck a reinforced target and passed through it as if the material had never existed. No explosion. Just absence. Shields. Holt asked. Energy shields absorb energy, replied Commander Elias Vaughn, head of orbital defense. They don't stop something that refuses to slow down. Holt nodded once. Build more. The human advantage. The Dominion trained soldiers through genetic calm. Fear had been removed. Aggression dulled. Conflict solved by protocol. Humans trained through memory. They remembered sieges. They remembered last stands. They remembered fighting when hope was gone. In zero-gravity chambers, boarding teams practiced breaching unfamiliar hulls. In silence, they learned hand signals. They learned how to move when oxygen was limited and time was short. Sergeant Mara Ionescu briefed her unit before simulation runs. They don't expect us to board, she said. They don't expect us to fight up close. A soldier raised a hand. What if they surrender? Mara didn't hesitate. Then we take the ship without killing them. We're not monsters. We're survivors. The first crack in perfection. As the Dominion fleet entered the outer system, something strange happened. One ship lost synchronization. Then another. Navigation errors appeared where none should exist. Systems rebooted without command. Power fluctuated in ways Dominion engineers could not explain. Fleet Marshal Careth frowned. Report. We are experiencing anomalies, an officer said carefully. No external threat detected. Then the lights dimmed. Across the fleet, thousands of ships experienced cascading failures. Communication links flooded with corrupted data. Weapon systems refused to respond. Careth felt irritation shift into something colder. What is happening? On Earth, Ravi Kelman removed his headset and exhaled. It's working, he said softly. Human hackers had not attacked hardware. They had attacked assumption. The Dominion had never imagined an enemy would weaponize information itself. Welcome to human space. As Dominion vessels struggled to regain control, Earth's defenses activated. Hidden platforms powered up. Converted freighters emerged from shadowed orbits. Mining vessels aligned their crude weapons. The Dominion detected them too late. The first kinetic strike tore through a Dominion cruiser, passing through shields and hull alike. No explosion. No warning. Just silence where a ship had been. Fleet Marshal Careth stared at the display. What weapon was that? Unknown, his officer replied. No energy signature. Another ship vanished. Then another. Panic spread, not loudly, but deeply. Dominion crews had no framework for chaos. No instincts for improvisation. Humans did. Boarding vessels launched. Sergeant Mara's team attached to an alien hull with magnetic clamps. Cutting torches burned through metal that had never known invasion. Inside, Dominion crew froze. They had never fought hand to hand. Humans had never stopped. The galaxy watches. As the first battle unfolded, distant observers across the Dominion network recorded the impossible. Primitive ships attacking ancient war vessels. Genetically softened soldiers surrendering to exhausted humans. Perfect formations breaking apart. On Vela Prime, the High Council received fragmented reports. "This is impossible," Sailreth hissed. But the data kept coming. Humanity was not just resisting. Humanity was learning, fast. And the galaxy was beginning to understand the truth far too late. The war had not awakened a pest. It had awakened a predator that evolved through hardship, pain, and refusal to give up. When the sky burned, the Dominion adapted quickly, but not quickly enough. As human ships struck again and again, the alien fleet finally stabilized portions of its network. Firewalls were raised. Systems isolated. The digital bleeding slowed. Fleet Marshal Kareth Knoll ordered retaliation. "Begin planetary bombardment," he commanded. "End this." The first energy lances struck Earth's upper atmosphere like artificial suns. Cities went dark. Oceans boiled in narrow scars. The sky burned. Humanity watched in horror. Then humanity endured. Emergency systems activated. Shields, weak, temporary, imperfect, absorbed what they could. Underground shelters sealed. Medical teams moved before the dust even settled. Earth did not fall silent. Earth screamed, and kept fighting. The cost of defiance. Casualties climbed fast. Entire orbital platforms vanished under Dominion fire. Converted warships shattered. Thousands of humans died in the opening minutes of full bombardment. Director Lena Holt stood in a reinforced command center, listening to loss reports that never seemed to end. "We're holding," Commander Vaughn said hoarsely. "But barely." Holt closed her eyes for 1 second. Then she opened them. "Then we hold longer." The trap no one expected. While Dominion attention focused on Earth, something else moved. Humanity had learned early that the Dominion relied on central command logic. Their fleets were vast, but hierarchical. Destroy the nerve centers, and the body would stumble. Ravi Kelman transmitted a single encrypted signal. Phase 2. Across the system, human vessels changed course, not toward Earth, but toward the Dominion fleet's command ships. They did not aim to destroy. They aimed to steal. Boarding the gods. Sergeant Mara Ionescu's team breached a Dominion command cruiser during active combat. Inside, the ship was chaos. Alarms screamed in unfamiliar tones. Alien crew scattered, untrained for close-quarters violence. Mara moved fast. They cut through corridors, disabling control nodes, sealing bulkheads. Every step forward shattered another Dominion assumption. When they reached the command core, Mara hesitated. The alien commander stood alone, unarmed, shaking. "We surrender," it said through a translator. "There is no reason for this." Mara lowered her weapon slightly. "There is," she replied. "You came to erase us." She turned to her team. "Secure the ship." Within minutes, humanity controlled its first Dominion command vessel. And with it, knowledge. The moment the galaxy felt fear, captured Dominion systems revealed something terrifying. The Dominion had never fought a war like this because they had never needed to. They did not innovate during conflict. They perfected solutions long ago and reused them forever. Humans changed tactics every hour. Within days, stolen systems were reverse-engineered. Dominion weapons were turned against Dominion ships. Their own networks betrayed them. Fleet Marshal Kareth watched his perfect formation dissolve. "They are learning faster than us," he whispered. For the first time in his life, he felt fear, not for defeat, but for extinction. Sacrifice. Human victory was not clean. Captain Elena Rosas, commanding a civilian transport-turned-warship, chose to ram a Dominion battleship when her weapons failed. Her ship vanished in a flash that saved millions below. Across Earth, people watched, cried, and then volunteered. Factories became armories. Hospitals became fortresses. Teachers became logisticians. Artists became morale. Humanity did not fracture under pressure. It fused. A choice in the void. As losses mounted, Fleet Marshal Kareth transmitted an emergency channel to Vela Prime. "We cannot win this quickly," he said. "We underestimated them. We must withdraw, reassess." The High Council argued. Withdraw from primitives? Unthinkable. High Arbiter Sailretha's voice cut through them all. No retreat, he said coldly. If they survive this, they will threaten everything. Finish it. The order was absolute. Kareth closed the channel and stared at the battlefield. He understood then. The Dominion had not declared war on a species. They had declared war on human will. The turning point. As Dominion forces regrouped for a final strike, humanity made its boldest move. Using captured command codes, Ravi Kelman injected false data into Dominion sensors. To the alien fleet, Earth appeared broken. No power. No resistance. No life. Kareth hesitated. This feels wrong, he said. Too late. Human forces emerged from every shadowed orbit. The ambush was total. Kinetic strikes shattered flagships. Boarding teams seized reactors. Dominion formations collapsed completely. For the first time in millions of years, the Celestial Dominion lost control of a war. The silence after. As debris drifted through space and fires dimmed, Earth remained scarred, but alive. Humanity stood blooded, exhausted, and unbroken. Director Holt addressed the world again. They wanted us gone, she said. They wanted us quiet. Instead, they made us united. She looked into the camera. And we're not done. Far across the stars, survivors carried one terrifying truth back to the Dominion. Humans did not fight to win. They fought to never lose. The empire that could bleed. The Celestial Dominion had never known doubt. Now it spread through their worlds like a slow infection. Reports from the Sol system were no longer deniable. Visual records showed shattered warships, captured command vessels, alien soldiers surrendering to a species barely out of its cradle. Across thousands of systems, member species whispered a forbidden thought. If the Dominion can bleed, can it fall? High Arbiter Sailreth sensed it. Fear. He tightened control. Communication channels were restricted. Independent fleets were ordered back to core systems. Descent was labeled contamination. But it was too late. The idea was alive. The second wave. The Dominion returned with overwhelming force. 20,000 warships emerged from faster-than-light space at the edge of the Sol system. New shield harmonics. Hardened networks. Revised tactics. Fleet Marshal Kareth Knoll had been replaced. This time, the Dominion sent Executor Varuan, a being engineered not for command, but for extermination. No negotiation, Varuan declared. No mercy. End Earth. Human sensors screamed warnings across the planet. Director Lena Holt watched the incoming fleet in silence. Then she spoke. Signal our allies. The allies no one expected. The Dominion never considered its own subjects a risk. That was its greatest weakness. As the invasion fleet advanced, ships dropped out of formation. First one. Then dozens. Then hundreds. Species long stripped of aggression made a choice they were never meant to make. They defected. Cargo vessels rammed Dominion destroyers. Transport crews sabotaged reactors from within. Civilian ships broadcast warnings instead of orders. Humanity was not alone anymore. A message echoed across open channels, translated into thousands of languages. They are not gods. They can be fought. The battle for Earth. Executor Varuan unleashed devastation. Cities burned. Continents trembled. Earth's defenses collapsed under sheer volume. Human forces took catastrophic losses. Sergeant Mara Ionescu led her team through a crippled station as pressure alarms wailed. Half her unit was gone. Fall back, someone shouted. She shook her head. If we fall back, the station falls. If it falls, Earth burns. They held. Not because they could win. Because holding was all that mattered. Human ingenuity. One last time. Ravi Kelman worked in a bunker running on emergency power. His screens flickered. His hands shook. We can't stop them all, he said. But we can blind them. He uploaded the final program. It didn't attack weapons. It attacked trust. Dominion ships began receiving conflicting orders from their own command hierarchy. Targeting data contradicted itself. Fleets hesitated, waiting for clarity that never came. Human forces surged through the opening. Chaos consumed the Dominion. The cost of freedom. Millions died that day. Human cities lay in ruins. Entire regions became uninhabitable. Names were carved into memory that would never fade. Captain Elena Rosa's sacrifice became legend. So did thousands of others who never made history, only difference. Humanity paid for survival in blood. But Earth still turned. And the Dominion fleet, broken, divided, and terrified, began to retreat. A decision in the dark. High Arbiter Sailreth watched the retreat in silence. For the first time in his long existence, he felt something he could not control. Regret. They were supposed to be erased, he whispered. Instead, the galaxy had changed. The Dominion had shown weakness. And humanity had shown the universe how dangerous hope could be. The message that crossed the stars. Director Holt transmitted one final message, not as a threat, but a declaration. We did not seek the stars to conquer, she said. But we will not be erased. We will defend ourselves. And we will remember. Across the galaxy, billions listened. Some with fear. Some with awe. Some with something new. Respect. The silence after the storm. When the last Dominion warship vanished beyond faster-than-light range, the Sol system fell into an unfamiliar quiet. No alarms. No weapons fire. No certainty that the danger was truly over. Earth drifted beneath a scarred sky, its atmosphere streaked with ash and fire. Cities lay broken. Oceans bore wounds that would take generations to heal. But the planet still lived. Humanity still lived. In shelters, survivors emerged slowly. They looked upward, not in fear, but in disbelief. They were still here. Counting the cost. The numbers were unbearable. Billions dead. Entire ecosystems damaged. Technologies lost. Families erased. Director Lena Holt stood before the Planetary Council one final time as wartime leader. Her hair had gone fully grey. We survived, she said quietly. But survival is not victory. It is responsibility. Humanity mourned together. There were no borders in grief. No nations in loss. Only names, memories, and promises that those sacrifices would mean something. For the first time in human history, Earth truly spoke with one voice. The Dominion shattered. Beyond Sol, the celestial Dominion was collapsing. Member species questioned everything. Worlds that had known only enforced peace now understood what it had cost them. Their will, their identity, their choice. Defections spread. Some systems declared independence. Others demanded reform. A few openly allied with humanity, seeking guidance from the species that had done the impossible. High Arbiter Sailreth faced an empty council chamber. The Dominion still existed, but it no longer ruled unquestioned. It would never again. The truth the galaxy learned. Alien historians struggled to explain what happened. Humanity was not stronger. Not more advanced. Not more numerous. Humanity was different. They adapted under pressure. They learned during chaos. They bonded through suffering. Where others sought stability, humans thrived in uncertainty. Where others avoided pain, humans used it. The galaxy learned a lesson it would never forget. A species forged by hardship does not break easily. A new kind of first contact. Years later, a small delegation arrived at Earth. Not conquerors. Not diplomats bearing threats. Students. They came to learn human engineering, human philosophy, human war ethics, and human restraint. Sergeant Mara Ionescu, older now, watched alien children laugh beside human ones in a rebuilt city square. She felt something close to peace. The legacy of defiance. Humanity did not seek revenge. They sought balance. They helped rebuild worlds damaged by Dominion rule. They taught defenses, not domination. They argued fiercely among themselves, as they always had. But one thing never returned. Silence. The galaxy was louder now. Messier. Freer. And far more dangerous to those who believed control was the same as peace. The final record. Deep within a neutral archive, a Dominion historian recorded the final conclusion of the Sol War. We believed peace was the absence of conflict. Humans showed us peace is the freedom to choose, even when that choice is to fight. The last word. On Earth, beneath a sky slowly healing, Director Holt addressed a new generation. They called us the most dangerous species alive, she said. They were right. She smiled softly. Not because we destroy, but because we endure. The galaxy would never forget the day it declared war on humanity. Because the galaxy survived that mistake. Barely.